Hey folks, welcome to West Wednesday 486, fighting for justice for all victims of police brutality and justice for Tyrone West. Here's Tawanda Jones.
Thank you, my queen. Just like my sister just said, this is West Wednesday week 486. I want you guys, because we have a lot of important announcements. So play the video that we play every week. So just hold on for a few more minutes and we'll be back.
Can't stop.
Won't stop.
Won't stop. Till killer cops are in cell blocks. Can't stop.
The following newly released video portrays an incident of assault and violence at the hands of police. Viewer discretion is advised.
I suggest you back the fuck up.
No, why you want to fuck with you? Why would you say that? That's
This is Baltimore City Police Officer Jorge Bernardez Ruiz. In a newly released video shot in 2016, Ruiz is seen with his knee on the back of an unknown man with a gun pointed at the man's head. His message was a clear one. Concerned onlookers, adhere to my dictates or else. Here, we can hear Ruiz saying to Baltimore residents,
I suggest you back the fuck up.
It is documented that Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardez Ruiz is a repeat violent offender, even without access to all complaints against Ruiz, undisclosed by BPD Internal Affairs records. 6 cases involving Ruiz are known. This video will briefly highlight 6 total cases beginning in July of 2013. Case 1, ABDUL SALAAM, July 1st, 2013. Here SALAAM is seen victoriously smiling in celebration after the jury found Ruiz and 2 other cops liable for brutality against him. However, because the trial was civil, not criminal, Ruiz was not fired and he did not go to jail.
Police profiled me. They followed me in the back of my house, harassing me. Police proceeded to violently and hostilely approach my van with me and my son in it. As I announced, this was my home, guns drawn. Once they reached my vehicle, they violently pulled me out, ramshacked my vehicle with my 3-year-old son strapped in his car seat, threw me against the gate, slammed me repeatedly.
Picked me up by my feet, and while I'm upside down, they proceeded to drop me on my head, hog-tie me, and immediately when I fell on my head, Ruiz, in a wrestling type of action, and kind of hit his knee against my neck.
I was arrested. I had no idea what I was being arrested for. My son is scarred to this day. He remembers the incident as it happened yesterday. When he talks about it, he always refers to Daddy being on the floor with police yesterday.
Case 2, DARRELL Harris, profiled, as seen in this video, July 17th, 2013.
Yeah, Sid, what's wrong with it? Improper way with it. There's no such thing as an improper way.
You gonna tell me my job, bro?
I know the law.
Are you gonna tell me the law?
I know the law.
You gonna tell me the
I know the law. What's the problem? You giving me a ticket? You need my license registration? Profile, y'all use the seatbelt as a reason. Profile.
Oh, sir, do me a favor, take out your keys.
Dad, you can record me. For what? Nah. I don't feel safe right now. Do you want me to step out the car? Do you want me to step out the car? I'll step out the car. Call the police, man. What do you call a supervisor? I'm about to do shit. This is getting uploaded to the internet right now. Yeah?
And we are 2 law-abiding citizens that we're getting targeted, and I don't know why.
Just 24 hours later, Bernardez Ruiz played a leading role in the police killing of unarmed Tyrone West. Case number 3, the murder of Tyrone West, July 18th, 2013.
My brother Tyrone West was brutally murdered on July the 18th, 2013.
In both of these cases, when you look at the pleadings and the harsh language of these officers that have been quoted to me by reliable witnesses, the N-word.
And Killer Ruiz and Killer Chapman and the rest of those 11 to 15 killers, including David Lewis, took something from my family that they could never give us again. And that was my brother Tyrone West, one unarmed man who was brutally murdered, beat to death in broad daylight.
So, thank you guys for tuning in this evening. I know you could have been tuning somewhere else, but the fact that you're right here with us at this very moment, YouTube, hit the subscribe and share button. That would be great. And if you don't like and share button as well, because I know police brutality and I know murder than popular, but it is something that we need to correct and address. And it's as we're approaching, I know everybody don't celebrate holidays, but it is said that holidays that a lot of family members are missing from the table. And first of all, I wanted to start my night off by saying that my heart still goes out for Ty Moorhead's family. This man had to be buried on Monday. He should be with wife, and their children, but instead he's in a I'm sorry, not in a morgue. He's dead. He's buried. It's sad. Like, it is so sad, executed on video. It's like it's so ridiculous that stuff is happening that it's not acceptable, but in their eyes, it's supposed to be serving, protecting us. It's acceptable, and because they know nothing's going to happen. How can you literally gun a person down, a human being? They wouldn't have. You put 14 bullets, and the man, I don't care if he had a weapon, to get to the ground and then drop the weapon. But instead, said, drop the weapon. He was trying to comply because he had his hands up. We saw his hands on the knife. Like, that is utterly ridiculous and very sad. And for this officer to, you don't put 14 bullets, with the 14th one being a kill shot. Like, that is and then the part that I think irks me and hurts after they kill our loved ones, for them to sit and pretend to try to revive it. That is very disturbing and sickening to me. Like, literally, the murder of Tyrone West. You talking about 7 maniacs, right? Nothing happened to them. They're getting promotion, just like Ruiz, the one that we're focusing on. But I'm at 17, one of them. Latrice Lee, I just found out that now she's a supervisor. And meanwhile, our family is still grieving 9 years later. I never would have thought that we would still be in this state, like walking into a nightmare, and what the outcome was going to be. All of that, I knew that my brother, my big brother, who I looked at as a father figure, who was the first grandbaby, all of that, is murdered. And now I have to speak and advocate for him. And he should be with his children, his grandbabies. He loved the holidays. Victim after victim. The only thing changes, right, is the victim name. This is murder. This is murder. And then you see these sickening things on the news. You say, well, because it's a juvenile, and I'm sorry to be flip-flopping, but it's a lot on my mind. But I'm thinking about the squeegee kid that pretty much get it moved to the state's attorney's office, pretty much moved where I think it should be. That's my opinion. This is not the West Coalition. This is Tawanda Jones. I think you have a 14-year-old, and you talking about putting a 14-year-old on murder with grown men like that to itself is disturbing. But because of our skin color, they just throw our babies to the wolves, and it's just sad and disgusting. But well, because it, a child is a juvenile or whatever, we can't show you the video happen. We can't, pretty much reveal a child's name. You have that family, and my heart goes, because no one deserves to be murdered. That's where I'm at with it. No one deserves, and it's unfortunately now that we're in times where heated arguments or foolish decisions, and at the blink of an eye, your whole life is gone. And then not only suffering, behind is your family that's trying to fight for you. So, like, my heart goes out. I'm sympathetic for the victim because I fight for all the victims, right? But at the same time, to all of it. But the fact that they're saying that you can't do, like, you see DARRELL, he's representing the victim's family, but he's putting out pictures. Like, that's the same as putting out the video. If you're saying that, oh, you want to have, but you're still, and then you allow the family to go out publicly and say the whole child, people just do whatever they want to do, and nobody is held accountable. And that is very disturbing to me. And right now, I got a lot on my heart because, like I said, I'm still, we all as a whole are still mourning what happened. At the end of the day, even if you don't agree with something, they carry themselves, or what, at the end of the day, nobody deserves to be murdered. No one deserves to have their life took. Like, that's just my opinion in it. But so for the soccer coach Kevin, who was gunned down by security, John Hopkins security, let's be crystal clear. But the fact that they want to still push all this stuff that we know that is dangerous, right? They're not trying to correct it. They're trying to over police but meanwhile, we almost had 300 bodies. And no said that a 13-year-old baby girl was just murdered. Standing on no one can stand on a bus stop. We can't even send our babies to school without a handgun. It's just way too much happening. But tonight, I have and I'm going to bring my friend on right now because I want y'all to hear this very important letter. And I want you to take notes, but I really want you to listen to what to say. So, no further ado, I'm going to pass it over to my good, dear friend. So Go Hard, I want to check in. Can you hear me, Go Hard?
Yeah, I can.
Do we have our guest that's going to read the notation? I'm ready to bring her on now.
Sorry, one sec.
Okay.
Twanda, on the signal, Dre doesn't know if we can hear her, and Hillary says we can't.
Anybody else have the letter that they can read?
Hello?
They're here.
I just heard somebody.
Mic check, can y'all hear me?
Yes, I hear you crystal clear now.
All right, y'all, appreciate it. So we've been following up on a number of investigations with John Hopkins security and the private police force that they're creating. Today we went to the Board of Estimates meeting, which had the president of the City Council, Nick Mosby, Comptroller Bill Henry, and the solicitor was sitting in for the mayor, I believe. So the mayor's office, the comptroller, and city council met to talk about the budget, and we wanted to make sure they had information on the private police memorandum of understanding that can be signed as early as November 18th, this Friday. And as we had discussed previously on West Wednesday, Tawanda had been threatened by a number of Hopkins associates, including the president of the university, and that's an open investigation with Hopkins security. So we feel that that's a reason to pause the signing of the MOU so we can get some more clarification as to how this matter will be handled. There's also an ongoing lawsuit from a number of residents around the Hopkins campuses involving local control of the Baltimore City Police. Since the referendum passed, now local control is into effect, and we feel that they should not be signing any MOU between BPD and Johns Hopkins. And today we also delivered some new evidence of a very brutal assault that occurred this weekend on Sunday of someone outside of a Hopkins residence hall. The video is of a person who's nearly naked and is beaten by off-duty Baltimore City police officer hired by Johns Hopkins to do patrol. So we feel that there's even more evidence to pause signing this MOU, and we're calling on the mayor to stop Commissioner Harrison from signing the MOU. And we have a number of letters presented from the plaintiffs in this lawsuit, as well as faculty from the Homewood campus, documentation from the Coalition Against Policing by Hopkins, and from the ABDUL Improvement Association, a number of neighborhood associations. So we're going to make sure all of this information is posted on West Wednesday. And like I said, we're following up on a number of these open investigations that we've been updating on West Wednesday. So the first letter that I'll share is from the Coalition Against Policing by Hopkins. And it is, we had a conversation with Comptroller Henry today, who was very concerned with the private police. He's a Hopkins alum and voiced a number of concerns with the jurisdiction, the boundaries, and, there's just a lot of liability questions. So we're hoping that he will push forward and make sure that this MOU does not get signed, specifically because of all the questions with local control. So we delivered this letter as well as the video of the assault and documentation of the threats made against Tawanda, some documentation of other racist security posts from Hopkins Security, and another assault on a student from Hopkins Security. And we sent them all those documents on a flash drive in this letter that says, "Greetings, Mayor Scott. We spoke with Comptroller Henry today at the Board of Estimates meeting regarding the JHU police force and a few urgent matters. He raised a number of concerns that warrant stopping Commissioner Harrison from signing the MOU authorizing the Johns Hopkins Police Department. This MOU can be signed by Commissioner Harrison and JHU as soon as Friday, November 18th. This flash drive contains footage of a violent assault committed by a JHU-employed off-duty BPD officer on JHU Homewood campus this past Sunday evening, November 13th. We hope that the footage concerns you enough to stop the signing of the MOU. This incident warrants further scrutiny of the partnership between BPD and any JHPD moving forward, especially given how close the partnership between BPD and JHPD is in the existing MOU. This flash drive also has a folder with additional evidence concerning open investigations with JHU security that have been deeply harmed, that have deeply harmed and troubled our community and allegiances. These outstanding matters require your immediate attention before the MOU can be signed and will become further complicated, harmful, and troubling to our community as well as legally. We would like to brief you before the MOU for JHPD can be signed, and we urge you to stop Commissioner Harrison from signing the MOU. Sincerely, Coalition Against Policing by Hopkins." This letter was delivered with the footage to the mayor. We're hoping that they will intervene. We're hoping that the comptroller intervenes and we're hoping that they'll pay attention to these ongoing investigations as well, because it's not okay that the president of the university can make threats to Tawanda, that there can be a professor that can assault students, that security officers can assault students and people, and, outside the residence halls. And we just want to know what's going on with the most recent incident, and we think it's a good reason to pause. And I won't share I won't read through the other letters, but like I said, the plaintiffs on a case which was just went through the local legislative process and now is becoming a federal civil rights lawsuit around local control. They submitted their documentation to the comptroller, the mayor's office, to the city council president, and so did the Senate of the Krieger's School of Arts and Sciences. They passed a resolution opposing private police. So they submitted their documentation as well this morning. And we also have a letter from the Able Improvement Association, Greater Remington Improvement Association, Harvard Community Association, and Waverly Improvement Association to Commissioner Harrison to stop the signing of the MOU. And we will keep you all posted as we find more information. And as always, justice for our us and all victims of police brutality. And all respect and much love to all the victims that are suffering right now. And we'll never stop fighting. Ashe. Mic check.
Thank you so much for sharing that information. And I just want you guys to know that this is like, I was actually threatened, when the students were doing the most peaceful protesting, advocating, saying that we're saying no to ICE, and we're also saying justice for Tyrone West and all victims. President reached out to my attorney and said, hey, not step foot on the campus or, have something done. And I'm like, what? Like, I couldn't believe that foolish. I'm like, first of all, I'm not the only one that's stepping foot. You had a lot of coalition, community folks that was actually standing there overnight. Well, my life is set up. I'm a mother. I couldn't go to stay there, but I couldn't go like that. But for me, literally, just to step on the premises and have my attorney, you had to go through lengths of, let me look up and see who was representing. They'll go that far to say, tell her I'm going to have something happen to her. She might be charged with trespass. For what? Did you charge all those other coalition people with trespassing in the night that we did the protest? We did a West Wednesday, and on that week 300, and we were coinciding with Hopkins, and it's so amazing. We had over 1,000 folks in the streets on Greenmount to the campus. All that, we had students literally from different parts of the world, and they were standing in solidarity, right? And then at the end of everything, for one of my coalition family members, when I was ready to go walk to my car, literally blocks away from the campus, but still on the campus where they had the I forgot what, but it's a wooded area, it's secluded. But I'm like, I was going to walk, I don't fear nobody threats. The only person I fear is God. Let's be crystal clear. That's the only person. I done had my life threatened before, all types of stuff, and it still continues. That's not going to stop me. I love these victims, and it said it should, I'm going to always fight for Timothy Flemings, Tyrone West, Tyree Moorhead, Jamal Taylor. I'm going to fight for Benjamin Tyson, Anthony Anderson, but the fact that there was a racist guy standing with his son 50 feet away from my vehicle, shouting obscenities at me and the coalition family, a few of them decided to walk me to my car. And this guy, and I could have literally got hit. Two of my queens stepped up in front of me to get this guy away, and they took punches for me. That is disgusting. And for them to get ready to, like, really? And not even address the issue, and we're talking like a year or two later, like the fact that stuff is still happening. The fact that stuff is still happening. And the police, right, they should invest that money into getting mental health there and de-escalate the situations. Instead of escalating it, they would need them to de-escalate. Make sure that whoever's going through a mental health crisis or whatever, go bed safe, not with no gunshot wounds, not in the morgue, not beat down, to actually be treated like a human being. It doesn't matter if you're suffering from, do you deserve to be murdered? Do you deserve to be beat, brutalized? No treatment. I wouldn't wish that on an animal. I wouldn't wish that on an enemy. Like, you need to do something, and the time is now. Like, how long are we gonna? Am I gonna be out here advocating for maybe one of you guys, or God forbid, y'all gonna be advocating enough? We need to stop stuff now, right? Because it's ridiculous. Close attention to where the stuff is happening, and they always use our pain for their gain. They'll let us not be protected in our communities, and the first thing they'll say, and this, that, and the third, we need more police officers. No, first of all, officers now that's falling asleep behind the wheel is not that's watching activists instead of watching those. Let's be clear, or trying to de-escalate stuff. It's sad. So I want to check in for time's sake. I want to check in really quick to see. So I wanted to know if Marcellus was in queue. I'm not really sure, but I'm gonna do a mic check real quick.
Marcellus isn't here yet.
Okay. I said we don't have anyone to read off. So, guys, at this particular time to read off the questions and the comments, I can definitely see the board to lit that, nobody's here to actually be able to read it off. And normally, literally, we go into all the victims of police brutality, names or ways, dedicate our time to listening to you guys' feedback. So I apologize. Check in, to see if anybody that's on the West Coalition on the Green Room wants to say something or comment before we start reading the sad list. I saw Nicole early on that, but I know she's gonna always be the one to echo at the end about the, whenever there's a victim, she always gonna echo cell blocks for killer cops. I don't say it because it sounds cute, because I mean it. Cell blocks for killer cops. And we're here to, like for the ones that we're here to lift their voices up as well. So I want to check in, my queen. Do you want to say anything to like the sad list? Because I see our brother Brian is in queue. Mike
check. I just want to say that I'm going to be here until the end with you, my queen. And, unfortunately, I have to be here because of this situation. But at the end of the day, being here is an honor to fight this fight next to you, and for you to also help people like myself to fight for their loved ones as well. It's just sad that we were all put into this family that we weren't asked to be put into. But at the end of the day, it's wonderful that we all have somebody to talk to somebody who 100% understands exactly what the other person is going through because they've been through it as well. One piece of paper you can tear in half. A phone book is a lot harder. And I want us to come together as human beings, no matter race, creed, no matter if you're male or female. And I want us to get together and I want us to continue to fight this fight until there is no longer a fight that has to be fought. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Yeah, so well, my queen. So my heart always goes out to my sister. But I don't ever want to know what it feels like to lose any of my children, right? And for this queen to actually, have lost her beautiful 16, to community violence or to, murder. It's really sad. And that cap that she never asked for, and literally before her baby's murdered, she never gets her father-in-law because she's helping her husband, trying to fight for accountability. At the same time, she has a horrible loss as well. So your boots on the ground and just keep doing what you're doing and just know that our family, and again, like I said, my heart goes out to any victim right now. So right now, time to see if our brother Marcellus or anybody that can read the questions and comments. If not, we will go on to our unfortunately sad list. So I'm going to everybody is available, even if it's not Marcellus. But I'm gonna do a mic check. Mic check.
Mic check. Tawanda, I can't see all the comments like Marcellus can, but I can read the ones I'm able to see. Would you like me to do that?
Yes, please. I appreciate it.
All right. So let me start here. Judah Dashi says, mic check. I said, great to be here for West Wednesday. Bruce says, replying to Bill Bleish, good evening all. Kenneth Clark says, mic check. And he says, I wish that guy stayed in the car so this would not have never happened. Terrible situation. Prayers go up, guns down. Bruce, that's terrible at the Hopkins Residential Hall. Bruce again, why Hopkins would choose a former BPD is beyond any sense. Not the least, the whole premise of having armed police on campus or nearby properties. And then we have a journalist from the Latin press who says justice for Kevin Torres. She's from New York. And she says, after that, please, justice for Kevin Torres. And she then says the killer is free and there's no justice in Baltimore, question mark, question mark, question mark. I wrote, yes, justice for Kevin Torres and for Tyree Moorhead and for Tyrone West and for all victims of brutality committed by police and security guards. Stephen says, indeed. Bruce says, absolutely. Beth Silly Beth from New York, Hispanic, dark, or white skin is a human life. Exactly. I said good work. Yep. I said good work pushing to stop the signing of the MOU. And Bruce says, yes, good work on the MOU. Judah says, replying to Bruce Emmerling, if anything, the MOU is cementing the partnership between JHU and BPD. To me, it reads like the JHPD will be a special task force, within the BPD. And we already know how badly that turns out. Beth from New York says, we need justice. Bruce says, agree. Hillary says, yes, the time is now. Much appreciation for those blocking the MOU. We need peacekeepers, not policing, as it creates more violence. And Judah says, the only difference between what's gone on until now, when current and former BPD work for JH, and what will happen if a JHPD becomes a reality, is that the perpetrators will have guns and more innocent people will die. Those are all the comments I'm able to see. If it's okay, I wanted to say a word about Kevin Torres.
Well, you say that, I wanted to give his family his much love and much respect, because every time I see a family, put in family was, and where you're standing there, and you might have a few people, anyone standing standing there with you. It's sad and it's heartbreaking. So again, my time schedule, like I can't even be boots on the ground right now. I'm doing this because I can't be there, right? I'm just leaving work. I'm in my daughter, picking her up from her function. So that's why I'm not able. But I just want to tell you guys are courageous. You have my support 100. You have my support, and I'm going to make sure that not only do I advocate for, all the victims like I've been doing, and I have a big special West Wednesday. It's going to be on the 30th of this month. I will tell you guys where we're going to meet at. I have a big documentary crew that's on the national level that will be filming. Sure that we not only highlight my brother Tyrone West and Tyree Moorhead, we're going to highlight Kevin. We're going to highlight all the victims. They need going on and what's continuously happening. But I know the feeling of literally standing on corners, but out there from 5 in the evening, I believe, and I apologize if I got it wrong. From every night advocating, you guys, I'm right there with you. 30, and I am here. And anybody knows when I give you a commitment and say I'm here, it's where nobody's paying me. I'm literally dedicated because these victims, you talk about a soccer coach that's a provider, a family guy murdered in a murder, they get to go home to their families. It should not matter about skin color. It's still all people get murdered by police. I'm not saying that, but it's just sad that folks are being murdered like animals and nobody's sticking by us. It's just sad. It's really sad. So I'm gonna turn it over to Uncle Bill. Mic check.
Mic check.
Hi. So Kevin Torres had come from Honduras, and he became highly loved in the area of Baltimore where he lived. He worked with large numbers of young people in a soccer league with his own team and with other teams. And I forget the date. It was just within the last week. His team finally won a big championship. And so a number of people went to celebrate, and they were at a bar at Haven and Lombard. And the security guard, it turns out, at that bar has brutalized 6 or 7 people in the past, viciously. Kevin's sister-in-law showed me pictures of people with their bones sticking out of their arms and horrible things caused by this particular security guard. So during that evening of celebrating, Kevin's daughter was being mistreated by the security guard. Kevin stepped in, the guard maced him, and then shot him 3 times and then 3 more times. And the community outrage has been powerful. Looked like, from what I could tell, hundreds of people marching, demanding justice for him. And the bar where it occurred, where the security guard is still employed and has not been charged with any crime so far. A large number of people have gone there each night, as you were talking about, Tawanda, to basically shut it down by telling people, don't go in there, don't patronize this business. And they've been very successful. I went a few nights ago to the wake for Kevin, and there must have been at least 150 people there, highly respected and highly loved. And he was not killed by a police officer, but he was killed by a security guard, totally run amok. And as we fight in all these cases, we have to fight in this case too. So I just wanted to go over that.
I thank you for horrible details, and that is sad. You go, just picture, and I'm right now at this moment, just picture going somewhere to a big moment that you are a soccer coach, that you were inspired and you guys, and you're feeling so good, and y'all go to a spot to celebrate. Child, it's being disrespected. You're going, what father stand there and watch their child being disrespected expected. So you stay whatever or however, and you get maced and then gunned down. The security guard is still working. Shame, shame, shame. So if we don't get it, keep doing what you're doing. Because guess what? Pressure, bust, pipes been good in Kevin's favor. That is disgusting. Shame, shame. Kevin should, and that is sad. And I pray to God that his daughter did not see or her last being murdered. That is very heartbreaking. I didn't even know the details. So I just know that he was so sorry. You know, everybody's not religious, but I am. I will be keeping you guys everything. So I'm just so sorry. I'm so sorry. And speaking of sorry, I'm so sorry. A horrible homicide list of community violence as well. So I just ask for us to take 1 minute and just keep in mind to be on a sad list. That's what I call it, a sad list. God changes a person's life forever, changes family life. You're with your life. All of a sudden, it wasn't somebody was sick, somebody was murdered. And no one deserves to be murdered. That is not an act of kindness. That is pretty evil at its fullest. So at this minute, if you are a prayer, please pray. And if you're not, that's fine too. And thoughts and powerful, energy into right now. So we're gonna take 1 minute starting now. Mic check.
Mic check.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys and everything you guys commented and said. We definitely agree. Like on top, and yes, thank you guys so much. So I'm going to turn it over to our brother. He has a sad list of our Baltimore City homicides. Okay, community.
Thank you, Twanda. Can you hear me?
Yes, hear you good.
Thank you. Okay, we actually have about, due to technical difficulties, I haven't been able to read this list for a while. So we have about 3 weeks worth of people here in Baltimore to commemorate or memorialize. And, we lift these names up not only in themselves for the people that they were and the human beings who they were, who were cut out of life too early, but for the family and the friends and the loved ones and the community around them and all the other people who were impacted. So I'm just going to say these names, and if you could just echo them back to me. And hopefully that's, that's just our way of talking about violence, that all violence is wrong and all violence is part of the same thing. And so whether these people were killed by other community members, by police, by random strangers, it's still, it's still wrong. It's still something that we struggle against. So, David Ramirez, 39.
David
Ramirez, 39.
Timothy Cunningham, 33.
Timothy Cunningham, 33.
Louis Butler, 59.
Louis Butler, 59.
59.
Marquise Powell, 26.
Marquise Powell, 26.
26.
Darrell Bird, 16.
Darrell
Darrell Bird,
16.
Marcus Lynch Jr., 43.
Marcus
Lynch Jr., 43.
Delaka Hoggins, 38.
Delaka
Hoggins,
38.
Evan Smith, 31.
Kevin Smith, 31.
Taiwan Red, 20.
Tyrone
Red,
20.
Eric Henson, 33.
Eric
Henson,
33.
33.
Marcellus Hall, 59.
Marcellus
Hall,
59.
59.
Tyree Moorhead, 46.
Tyree Moorhead,
46.
46.
Kevin Torres, 35.
Kevin Torres,
35.
Kelsey Washington, 13.
Kelsey Washington, 13.
13.
Wayne Martin, 52.
Wayne Martin, 52.
And I did not have the names of 6 other people who were killed during the same time period. As those come up, we will try and, say their names at that time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Brian. Too many names, too much sadness. Pass it on to Uncle Bill. Mic check.
Can you hear me? Here we are.
Yes.
So I'll be reading the list of people killed by the police around the United States in the most recent period. These are people whose lives were stolen from November the 6th through November the 13th. And we mentioned Tyree last week. I want to start with him because that hits home for us. So on November the 6th, right here in Baltimore, 46 years old, Tyree Moorhead.
Tyree Moorhead.
Again on November the 6th in Alexandria, Louisiana, 45 years old, killed by police, Derek Kittling.
Derek Kittling.
In Johnson City, Tennessee, on November the 7th, 44 years old, Kenneth Collins.
Kenneth Collins.
On November the 8th, in Lafayette, Colorado, 20 years old, Ethan Hueras.
Ethan Hueras.
And who will be saying killer cops and cell blocks for those who are unidentified?
I can say it.
Okay. Killed by police in Jacksonville, North Carolina on November the 8th, 17 years old, not yet identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops, Ashe.
Ashe. In Catoosa, Oklahoma on November the 9th, 39 years old, William Fairweather.
William Fairweather.
On November the 9th in Kansas City, Kansas, 32 years old, Hugo Corral Velasco.
Wow. I'm sorry. I can't pronounce the last name. Could you say it
It's a hyphenated name, Corral Velasco.
Corral Velasco.
Thank you. On November the 10th in Albuquerque, New Mexico, a person who is not yet identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops, Ashe.
Ashe. In New York, that is to say New York City, on November the 10th, 42 years old, Jermaine Hickson.
Jermaine Hickson.
In Detroit, Michigan, again on November the 10th, 27-year-old woman, not yet identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
Ashe. In Pueblo, Colorado, again on November the 10th, the person who has not yet been identified.
Cops. Ashe.
Ashe. On November the 11th, in Tell City, Indiana, 22 years old, Peyton Masterson.
Peyton
Masterson. On November the 12th, in Nashville, Tennessee, 64 years old, Drandon John Brown.
John Brown.
November the 12th, in Madison, Tennessee, 26 years old, Senquarius Williams.
Senquarius Williams.
Again on November the 12th, in Goodyear, Arizona, a man who has not yet been identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
Ashe. In Cabazon, California, on November the 12th, a man who is not yet identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
Ashe. On November the 12th, in Spring Hill, Florida, 61 years old, Gary Schreier.
Schreier.
In Federal Way, Washington, on November the 13th, the man who is not yet identified.
Cell blocks for killer cops. Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. And the last person whose life was stolen by police that we'll be upholding this evening was on November the 13th in Forest Hills, Pennsylvania, 38 years old, Marcus Allen.
Marcus Allen.
And that was 19 people killed in a 1-week period by the police. Horrible as always. And I'll just say mic check now. Tawana, did we lose you? Well, Serafina, would you like to close us out?
And Mr. West begging for his life. And Mr. SALAAM begging for his child to be excluded and comforted from what was taking place. Not for himself, but for his 3-year-old child.
Case number 4, Adina Britt and family, September 10th, 2015.
Tawana, I believe you're live again.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, guys. I got disconnected for a second, but yeah. Again, I just wanted. Sorry, we had to interrupt the video because they lost me. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you. And I just wanted to say real quick for the ones that didn't know, Tyrese, he was the no shoot zone. He literally went around advocating for painting no shoot zones and for him to be murdered. Like to me, that was a straight nation. That's not the West Coalition speaking. This is Tawanda Jones speaking. So again, thank you, brought you in with the video. Please continue on watching the video and remember, live to love, love to live, and I love you all. And thanks my bus so hard for co-hosting tonight. Thank you guys so much. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
And Mr. West begging for his life. And Mr. SALAAM begging for his child to be excluded and comforted from what was taking place. Not for himself, but for his 3-year-old child.
Case number 4, Adina Britt and family, September 10th, 2015.
My name is Adina Britt, and I wanted to submit a 30-second testimonial that Jorge Omar Bernardez Ruiz is one of the 11 terrorists that came into my house performing a home invasion in September 2015, terrorizing my entire family and even holding my 12-year-old son at gunpoint. He needs to be stopped.
Case number 5, unidentified arrestee, assaulted in 2016.
I suggest you back the fuck up.
No, why you
Again, this video did not surface until the summer of 2020. Case 6, Thomas McCullough, May 2016 and February 2017.
I heard my front door coming off the hinges like it exploded.
Thomas McCullough says it happened twice. In May 2016 and February 2017, Baltimore City Police burst through his green front door and raided his Pimlico home.
They said, police. They come up, shotguns, guns.
He says officers ransacked the place, looking for drugs, money, and weapons. He took pictures of the damage he says they left behind.
Tell us where the drugs are, the scales, the guns, and the large amounts of money.
Nothing was found. Now he's suing police, claiming officers, including a former member of the Gun Trace Task Force, frightened him, his wife, and father-in-law when the officers conducted what his suit calls an illegal search of his home. The owner of the house tells 11 News after the second raid, he had to replace the front door. McCullough and his attorney say they want Baltimore police held accountable.
There is a colossal breach of trust.
And McCullough tells us following both raids, no one was arrested or charged.
This all begs the question, when will Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby see the prosecution of Bernardez Ruiz as warranted?
They were the stopping officers in these so-called jump-out cars, unmarked and so forth, that stopped both the West vehicle and the SALAAM vehicle without probable cause. And these officers are the ones that also were joined by others, but they are the ones who initiated the stops, pulled both men out of the vehicles, and commenced the vicious activity that was thrust upon them.
And the officer Ruiz that started this attack is still working and working with promotions. He is now sergeant. But the fact that this repeat violent offender had a history leading up to my brother. There was Darrell Harris, there was James Green, Joseph Green, ABDUL SALAAM, and my sister Adina and her family. No one family deserves to be brutally murdered or brutalized by this repeat violent offender Ruiz. It is time we take action. The time is now.
Baltimore police officer Jorge Bernardez Ruiz is a repeat violent offender. Based on these accounts, in accordance with the law, we, the West Coalition, call for him to be fired, prosecuted, and incarcerated.
We're more than hashtags and body bags. We're more than being 6 feet in the dirt and pictures and buttons on t-shirts. Our lives matter.
For the safety of our city, the prevention of further harm, and the justice for these families, we see no other option.
And again, I'll say, the time is now.
Hey, thank you guys.
Thank you.
I had to mute my camera because the coach had walked TT right, because she don't never walk TT out. And when she walked out, I seen her coming over there, said hurting her groin. Her groins. Groin. Did I say? She's corrected me. But thank you guys.
Okay,
Thanks, go hard.
All right, take care.
All right, and thanks, Dre. Love y'all.
Thanks, T. Grateful to be with you tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great being with y'all. Peace.